All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to take a little bit of a break from football. We'll talk about what happened in the NBA last night. So we had a few games, some crazy finishes, but we'll start off with the Knicks. So the Knicks really needs to win last night. I was saying that all along. If they ended up losing the game, it would have been tough. But early on, the Knicks definitely came out with a different kind of energy. 4 out of the 5 starters had 20 plus points last night, which I think was huge because I think that was one of the biggest complaints after game 2 was just the lack of involvement from some of the other players. But also guys just missed open shots and just disappeared. Like Karl Anthony Towns, he had 10 points in game 2. He finished with what did he finish with? 31 last night. I think he had like 11 points in the first quarter. Or at least he had more than what he had in game 2. But yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, he finished with 31 points. He was solid last night. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. OG finished with 22. Bridges finished with 20. And Jalen Brunson finished with 30 points. And he went 11 of 13 from the free throw line, 9 of 20 from the field. But yes, this was a gutsy win. The Pistons would not go away. Cade Cunningham finished with a double-double, had 24 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 24 points. Jalen Duren had 16. Dennis Schroeder, 18 points off the bench, so he continues to produce. And Malik Beasley had 12. But there was an interesting moment in the game at the very end where Brunson was shooting free throws, and there was no time left on the clock, essentially. So he purposely missed the second free throw. The buzzer sounded, and we thought, all right, the game's over. No, the game was not over. The Pistons still had an opportunity with, I think it was with 0.5 of a second left. So they inbounded the pass, and it went out of bounds, and the Knicks got the ball anyways. But still, it was very odd how the game did not end after Brunson intentionally missed the free throw. But yeah, I mean, it was still a 2-point game. Like the Pistons, they I don't know why I had Timberwolves on the mind, but anyway, well, I guess because they play tonight. But the Pistons had an opportunity, even though it was going to be virtually impossible, and they ended up losing. So the Knicks take a 2-1 lead. But yeah, this was a much better showing. There was pressure on the Knicks to get it done, and they delivered. But this Pistons team is very tough. And I would like to see... Now, look, the starters, they stepped up. It wasn't just Brunson. You got contributions from Cat, OG, Mikal Bridges. Josh Hart did his thing. But you would definitely like to see someone off the bench, do something like Campaign did in Game 1. But, because the Pistons are consistently getting contributions from players off the bench. Again, Dennis Schroeder has been a problem. He had 18 points again. He had 20 in Game 2. And that's something that, beyond this year, the Knicks have to address their bench. They have to get a better bench. And that's been talked about all year. But, look, hopefully this continues. You got to like what you saw. Karl Anthony Towns bounced back after, a rough Game 2, where, again, only 10 points. They're still missing, some open shots, but obviously that's going to happen. The Pistons missed open shots too last night. This series is by no means over. Little Caesars Arena, it was rocking last night. And they were all over Brunson every time he was at the free throw line. Because a lot of people have been complaining about his flopping. So, gutsy win for the Knicks. So they go up 2-1. Now let's talk about the Grizzlies and the Thunder, shall we? So the Grizzlies were up by a lot. All right, they played really well in the first half. They were up 77 to 51 in the first half, if my math is correct. Right, 77 to 51. Yeah, 77 to 51. And you thought, all right, maybe they're going to, steal a game here. And then the Thunder proceeded to outscore the Grizzlies in the second half. 53. No. 63 to 31. And they ended up winning 114 to 108. So after the Grizzlies put up, 77 in the first half, they put up 31 in the second half. And now they're down 3-0. And the series, like I said, it's over. Now it's really over. Now, John Moran also got hurt in this game. So that kind of played a role. But, I mean, yeah, so he exited, went to the locker room, and yeah, he ended up not returning. Hip injury. This was in the second quarter. So that definitely played a role. I mean, had he not have gotten hurt, then maybe, they probably hang on and still win. Because he had 15 points. He was on his way to having a really good game, but yeah, he ended up leaving, not returning, and that played a role in the Grizzlies collapsing and losing the game. Desmond Bane, he was not good last night. 3 of 14 from the field, 2 for 11 from 3. He finished with 10 points. Jaren Jackson had a good game. He finished with 22 points. Scottie Pippen Jr. finished with 28. And then for the Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he finished with 31 points. Chet Holmgren finished with 24. Jalen Williams finished with 26. Caruso had 10 off the bench. Isaiah Joe had 10 off the bench as well. And the Thunder get the win. So, yeah, they're in the driver's seat. They're going to move on. We knew this. But, yeah, that was a disappointing game. Again, didn't really get to watch a ton of it because obviously it was focused on the draft. But, yeah, I mean, the fact that the Grizzlies lost that was the dagger. And then the final game from last night, you had the Clippers and the Nuggets, which has kind of been a back-and-forth series so far. The first 2 games have both been very competitive. Last night, not so much. The Clippers ended up winning 117 to 83. Jokic finished with a triple-double. Jamal Murray had 23 points. But, yeah, the Clippers, they shot 46% from 3. The Nuggets shot 27% from 3. The Clippers almost shot 50% from the field. Nuggets 40%. They were out-rebounded last night by the Clippers. The Nuggets were. And fast break points, 13 to 3. Points off of turnovers, Clippers had 16. Nuggets had 9. They turned the ball over 16 times. Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. Kawhi had a double-double, 21 points, 11 rebounds. Zubats had 19. Norman Powell had 20. Harden had 20. Nicholas Batum had 12 off the bench. But yeah, that was a non-competitive game. The first quarter, the Clippers were finished that they were up 35 to 28. But yeah, they outscored the Nuggets 30 to 19 in the second, 27 to 13 in the fourth. So yeah, that was not good. And I saw a clip of Jokic, very upset on the sidelines, going over some stuff. So, yeah, Nuggets are gonna have to turn it around. But yeah, that was a very discouraging performance by Denver last night. So, we'll see what happens in Game 4. But Clippers have control of that series right now, up 2-1. And then the games tonight: Celtics and the Magic. I don't believe. What is the status of Jason Tatum? So, I'm looking right now. So, actually, Drew Holiday was added to the injury report. Right hamstring injury. I don't know what the status of Jason Tatum is. Well, I do see Joe Mazzulla said he has a severe bone bruise, so that's not a good sign. So I guess maybe he's he's doubtful for Game 3. So I guess he's not playing, and Drew Holiday's also iffy. And then, of course, Chris Stapps, got elbowed in the face. So, yeah, the Celtics are kind of shorthanded. But even with that being said, I mean, I still think they're winning this series. They're too deep of a team. I think they're going to find a way. Maybe the Magic steal a game tonight. But I think the Celtics, they're going to ultimately win this series and move on, and they'll get these guys back. The Pacers and the Bucks. This is a big game. The Bucks, back at home. Damian Lillard is back. They lost game two. This series has been getting a little chippy. With the stuff going on between Tyrese Halliburton and Damian Lillard. I like the Bucks to win tonight. I'm going to say the Bucks win tonight, get themselves back on track. They're 5.5-point favorites, but if they go down 0-3, yeah, the series is definitely over. I don't think the series is over. I did pick the Pacers to win, but I think this is still going to be a competitive series. And then we got the Lakers and the Timberwolves tonight. Timberwolves are 3-point favorites. I could definitely see them winning. I can definitely see them winning tonight. After a disappointing performance in Game 2. This is another series that I think could go back. That is going to go back and forth. I'll still take the Lakers to win tonight. All right, so that is those are my predictions for tonight. I think the Celtics find a way to get a win as well. Let me know what you guys think about the games from last night, about the games tonight. What do you see happening? Let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our final break ever here on the GSMC Sports Network. And when we come back, I'll give you some NFL predictions for this upcoming season, as well as taking a look back at some of the biggest moments in sports that have happened since I started doing shows for the GSMC Sports Network. So a little fun segment to conclude my time as a host here. So for one final time today, one final time ever, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.